What's going on, guys? Still here. And said I wouldn't make a video, but I already just went on for 30 plus minutes rambling about War Thunder, and I might upload that variant. I'm not really sure. But I want to try and just shorten up and try to more thoroughly explain my thoughts here. I didn't really have any backup footage, but I guess with the other recording I kind of do if I want to use it, but I'm just going to go ahead here anyways. Anyways, just getting right into it. If you guys didn't see my community post from a couple weeks ago, I basically just was like, yeah, I'm done making content on War Thunder. Probably making content for a while because I'm just kind of burnt. And I mean, you can tell from the channel, I'm not pumping out 3 videos a day. I don't think people understand that burnout isn't always because you're just making 1,000 videos all the time. Burnout can really come in any form. Any other content creator, even outside of War Thunder, any artist, anybody that has to create something would understand this a little bit. Like, especially if you're into drawing or something, or like, again, I said artists. War Thunder is the main game I've always wanted to make content on, of course. But a lot of recent changes to the game, a lot of recent implementations and stuff, kind of just slowly over time just burned me out. It's kind of hard to explain and put into words easily. But basically, I'll try to get with some examples. Just the game's direction is not what I signed up 4 years ago. Now people are gonna be like, "Well, this is just a boomer War Thunder player talking," and it is a little bit, but there is a reason to it. And I think if you're a little open-minded, you'll kind of understand where I'm coming from. Because other games in the gaming industry are kind of in this weird boat too, like let's say Battlefield, where everything is just chasing a trend. Everything was chasing the hero battle royale type shooter or Tarkov clone, whatever. Like 2042 was basically ending up as a hero shooter, and they kind of just killed off the franchise. You know, so there's a lot of different things where over time games have just evolved to chase a certain market or a certain direction, and it just doesn't bode well. But with War Thunder, I mean, I started in 2014, although my account, I believe, officially says 2015, but that was because I was just using, like, an old email or something at the time when I originally did play on a shitty laptop. But, and that was when War Thunder was only an airplane game at the time. It was before tanks and all that stuff, and of course, I mainly like to play tanks now, for reasons which I would get into later about Tier RB. But yeah, it's just in general, without going into too much detail with it, War Thunder really isn't the game that I signed up for originally. And I think part of the reason is the game, as it's gotten more mainstream and evolved, has had a different market, as the very niche player that signed up for the game originally no longer is the majority, and the majority is people that basically they see a cool MMO game with military vehicles, and it triggers monkey brain, and people play the game. There's plenty of examples of this. If you're any sort of long-time War Thunder player, even if you only played a couple years and you already kind of know what you're doing, I mean, examples of this are like people complaining that they bought a premium and they're wondering why their missiles don't lock on, and they say radar when they're using a J-35A with AIM-9Bs, you know what I mean? Like, people that they just don't understand the basics of military technology. Of course, this applies more to the modern vehicles, which the game, no matter what you argue, you cannot deny that the game is a World War II game that is marketed as a Cold War game. Most of the vehicles in the game are from the 40s and the 30s, in like the early Cold War, when it was still pretty fundamentally just like a World War II vehicle with a better gun or whatever. And really the majority of the game isn't modern, super modern content, even though the game increases that amount of modern content every day. So the game is definitely mismarketed as what it really truly is, and a lot of people, of course, try to skip a lot of the content by buying high tier premiums, and they don't understand the basics of the game, let alone the basics of certain technology. Again, repeating myself. Right? And so that has attracted a lot of, I don't want to be an asshole in this video or come across as a certain, just like elitist or something, but it attracts a lot of stupid people, and they're not stupid because they're stupid. They're just stupid because they don't understand what they're doing. And it's multiplicative because of the technology. Like, somebody is going to look at my gameplay right now, and they've never played War Thunder, and they're not going to fucking know what they're doing. Like, I even had a buddy come over to my house one time, and he was like, what are you playing? I'm like, oh, War Thunder. And he sat down, and he flew an A-10 in ARB, because he wanted to fly the A-10, and he didn't understand that you don't really fly the A-10 in ARB, and he got his ass kicked, and he was like, well, this game sucks. It's like, you know, that's the majority of the the player base that they're attracting. The consumer base, let's say, they're attracting, because I wouldn't really say they're the player base, because who knows how long a lot of these people are playing the game for. But yeah, War Thunder is just, again, it isn't really the game that I signed up for. Whoa, that looked weird. And I guess I'll start getting into some examples. Some of the reasons why I don't really enjoy War Thunder, I'll start off with ground battles, because it's the majority of what I experience. In ground battles, just recently looking, if I can pull up the photos, they just did a bunch of changes to maps like Cargo Port, where you can no longer go around the side of the map. You literally have to just drive straight forward. Like, there's no choice, because the majority of players in War Thunder, I'm just gonna go full pill here, red pill here. The majority of players in War Thunder that are complaining about getting shot from the side by somebody that went around the side of the map are stupid. I'm just going to be 100% honest here. You spawn in, you press W, you drive to cap, you die from the side, and you bitch, and now Gaijin has taken a bunch of maps, and they've basically tunneled everybody, because literally they've taken the average Tiger player's field of vision, and they've turned it into the map border. Like, you're within the confines of a Tiger player's field of view, okay? Just being 100% honest here. Looking at those pictures like it's stupid. They did it on some of the maps, I think. Was it the Arctic map? I think they changed a little bit. They removed the map boundary so people couldn't sit in certain spots, which was kind of crucial to that team doing a certain thing. Also, I'm probably going to die here. Funny. Yeah. It's just this weird dynamic of catering to people that, quite frankly, have... Again, I'm trying not to be an asshole here, but just for a lack of a better word, they have a massive fucking skill issue. Like, I'm sorry, but most players that want to do well will take the path of least resistance and then shoot the team in the back, shoot the enemy team in the back. Like, that's just... It's just something that's a good idea to do, I guess. If you want to do well in a game... You don't go to the spot where 70% of your team is going to go and you're likely going to get bombed in a group. You're going to go around the flank and you're going to shoot unaware players in the side and do better. It's not some... There are rat tactics in War Thunder, but there's just the general, like, oh, this guy is watching this path and I don't want to drive out in front of him because he's going to kill me if I push him. Let's go around him. And now you can't go around them depending on where they're sitting, because all map borders really do is confine where people can camp on the corners of the map and not be able to be pushed from a certain side. Now, I'm sure there's spots where you can literally sit and no one can go around you because they'll die trying to flank you. So now they have to push you. They have to push into you, which is the stupid thing for them to do. So it's essentially Gaijin, in a way, pseudo-feeding you kills because you're too stupid. Again, for a lack of a better term, I could say incompetent, I guess, but it really is because you're too stupid to check your rear every now and then, check your flanks, corner peek before you push, etc., etc. And I'm just going off of Cargo Port here as an example. There are plenty of maps I understand where it's a big field and you get shot from thousands of different angles. I understand that. But from my observation, a map like Berlin, at first glance, may not look like you can get shot from 1,000 different angles, and may not look like you can get spawn camped off the bat. Just because you can spawn in where your tank is placed and not die doesn't mean when you drive 50 feet to the left or the right that the enemy team can't see you from some part of the map and shoot you. You can still push the northern side. If you're playing on the south side in Berlin, you can still push the northern side from the far east of their side. I forget how the mini-map's orientated, but you can basically go through all the buildings, not the Reichstag side, the other side, and just drive up and shoot them in their spawn. You can still do that. Even if they raise the dirt mound a little bit, the moment they drive 5 feet forward, they're going to get shot. That doesn't fix spawn camping, right? So, again, it may appear that Gaijin is is trying to fix certain issues, but what they're really doing is they're catering to people that don't play the game outside of pressing W and nothing more. And again, I'm not trying to sound elitist here. I'm just saying this as somebody who's played the game a long time, and I'm nowhere near as good as other people in this game. And they will tell you the same thing, that just because you can't, just because you can press the fucking W key doesn't mean you deserve 20 kills and a nuke. Okay, like it's stupid. It's this weird thing that they're doing where they're just kind of appealing to people that don't want to learn the game. As another example, and I know people, I'm not pointing out anybody in particular here, but from my experience over a couple years of interacting with the community, for example, this next one, this kind of ties into people not wanting to learn the game. This goes for kind of the more veteran side, I would say the more stubborn in a way, which people might think I'm a hypocrite saying this, but I'm going to say it anyways. For example, every time a new map comes out and it doesn't have a city block in the center of it, and you die the moment you drive out of spawn from some random angle because Gaijin, let's just be 100% honest here. Gaijin doesn't fucking play test their maps. This is part of the problem where I'm going to rag on Gaijin. They don't fucking play test their maps. We all know this by now. So complaining that a map sucks balls when it hasn't been out for more than 24 hours is pretty understandable, because Gaijin doesn't playtest their own fucking maps. Again, we know this at this point. So, what I'm leading into is, for example, everybody's been playing on Advanced of the Rhine for 6 years, probably, at the least. Been playing on Advanced of the Rhine for a very, very, very long time, okay? People used to fucking hate Rhine. I used to hate it too, but now I actually enjoy the map. Why? Because I learned how to play it. Right? I learned the strengths and weaknesses of my vehicles on the map and where to play, blah, 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 blah. For example, when Red Desert came out, everybody just was like, oh, this map's garbage. It's a big map, it's garbage. Like, Red Desert really isn't a terrible map. Sure, there are spots where you can get shot across the map from somebody camping, but again, it's just like it's just basics. Like, if somebody is, insert Star Wars reference here, if someone has the high ground, they most likely have an advantage over you. That's not Gaijin's fault. That's not, there were broken, like old 38th parallel when you could get outside of the map. That's different, right? Not talking about that, but I'm talking about just basic vertical positions on the map, like on Red Desert. If somebody's in the high ground, they most likely are going to have the drop on you. That's not that player's fault. That's not Gaijin's map design team sucking. That's your fault for driving in low ground exposed. And people say, for example, like, well, then what's the point of all this empty space then? The point of the empty space is for building a fucking environment. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, sometimes I get this vibe from people where all they want to do is spawn in, shoot a target, and then they're done. Like, they just want it's like, you can play Call of Duty TDM on fucking shipment for that, okay? That's not the kind of War Thunder that I signed up for. That's not the kind of War Thunder that I think a lot of people signed up for. Was basically taking Call of Duty, again, I'm going to keep bragging on it, and just plopping it into War Thunder. Like, that's the vibe that I get. Okay? Is that section of player, that's what Gaijin's kind of catering to at this point, is they're just catering to people that don't have an attention span, which modern world we all don't really have much of an attention span, but I'm just saying that in a semi-joking manner, that don't have an attention span, that don't want to learn new maps when they come out. Yes, some maps can fucking suck, okay? Everybody said Sun City sucked, and then some people that say Sun City sucked all of a sudden think that they like it, okay? That's all just a matter of subjective opinion, but the Gaijin generally is just increasingly catering towards people with low attention span, people that are too stubborn to learn new maps, so they just instantly just write it off. Not going to disagree with anybody and say that the game needs more map bans. I understand that. That's something I'll get into in a minute, which is player choice. But Again, I'm just using ground RB as an example here. But that seems to be what the game is catering more towards, okay? And I'm just using that just in ground. But that's the vibe I'm getting, and that's why I don't really enjoy the game anymore. The game is being catered towards people that, quite frankly, I'm not even going to say... That was a skill issue. That I don't want to say that are... fuck, I forget what I was going to say there, but... Either way, point being, I don't want to keep repeating myself. The game is just catering to a certain kind of player that this game is not designed for. Straight up, okay? So other things with ground, like certain vehicles, balance, like the T55 M1, still to this day, I don't give a shit what anybody says, is still the most broken, worth your bang for your buck premium in the game. Even though there's more threats in the game that can handle it nowadays, I still think that the T55 M1 when in a fucking full down tier is ridiculously broken. And the BR changes didn't really do anything but other just shift everything up, which BRs are a whole thing in general. Gaijin's balancing department sucks. That's another major reason why I don't really enjoy the game anymore. Is because their balance is all over the place. There's no consistency, right? And their reluctancy to increase the max battle rating to more spread out things and make things more balanced, even at the cost of increased queue times, is stupid. Which actually, side note, Gaijin really doesn't use the queue times excuse that much anymore, and funny enough, they can use it because their game has more players than ever before, so you wouldn't have trouble with queue times unless, here's a little secret, your fucking design sucks and you can't figure out how to make your matchmaking better. Which isn't my problem, it's not other players' problem, it's your problem, Gaijin. Anyways, moving on from ground and all that stuff, ARB. Recently, I was informed, I don't know about Kings of Battle, the new patch, but last patch, people were like, oh, Gio, you got the 16C and the MiG-29 SMT on test drive, why don't you go play them? I was like, well, is ARB fun? Because I don't really like the 16 on 16. I think it's stupid. Even with the increased map size, still not enough size. Everybody congregates to one spot anyways because it's not actual EC. Again, I'm going to keep harping back to it. It's not actual EC, so it doesn't really do anything. On top of that, missile fuses didn't fucking work. Why would I want to play a video game that's broken? If the entire point of... First of all, prop ARB is boring. I've been playing it since 2014. Like, I'm sick of playing props, climb for 20 minutes, kill one or two people, die to some guy, and then rinse and repeat. It's not enjoyable anymore. The game has evolved way past that very simple formula. Second of all, top tier jets. Why would I want to play a broken game? If 99% of the time I'm relying on missiles for kills, and whether it's radar or IR, they just don't explode because of a bug, why would I want to play the game? I want that answer. Why would I play a broken game? That's like playing Minecraft and not being able to dig or cut trees or craft. Like, why would I want to play Minecraft if everything in the game that I'm meant to do doesn't work or only works half the time? It's the same concept. You just apply it to a different part of a video game. Right? It's literally the same thing. Another example. It would be like, I don't know. It'd be like playing chess without the king and queen. What would be the point of playing chess? You might as well say, fuck this, and go play checkers instead. Right? If you have two game boards and you want to play chess with your buddy and the king and queen are missing, you can't play chess. You go, okay, well, fuck this, let's go play a different game. And you go and you play checkers or Sorry or Monopoly or something else. Because you're going to enjoy yourself playing that game versus the broken game that you don't have all the pieces to. Or the pieces are fucking broken and you can't tell, whatever. Anyways, analogy applies to anything either way. That's part of the reason why I don't like ARB. Is there always seems to be some stupid bug that causes an issue, or like I said, the 16 on 16 combat does not need to be a thing, Gaijin. You didn't need it when you implemented it. People are like, oh, Warzone has so many players. Every time I say the game's dying, people are like, well, look how many players it has. Oh, that's great. How many players it allegedly has that totally aren't fucking bot accounts bloating the game? Explain to me why they had to do 16 on 16 then. There was no reason for it. There was maybe a reason for 16 on 16 when they added the F100 and the MiG-19 forever ago, because they just wanted more people in the match. Like, there might have been a reason. There was a lot less players playing. But now, if you log on the game and there's 200,000 people, why do there have to be 16 people in a game? Is it because the server can't handle more games, so they've had to stick more people in a match? Either way, there's going to be a server load. Like, I don't understand the reason. I genuinely want an answer to that, because to me, all it seems like is Gaijin band-aided an issue that had already healed 2 fucking years earlier. Okay? Because that's what it seems like to me. The queue time issue, the player count per match issue seems to have fixed itself a year and a half, 2 years ago, than when they fucking implemented the 16 players on each side in RB. So top tier jet combat is absolutely abysmal. Not to mention the AIM-9M. I'm not even a major RB player, and while I understand that technology has advanced to the point where things are supposed to be resistant enough, I will admit the AIM-9M is kind of fucking broken for ARB, especially when it's on half of the usable vehicles at top tier. When multiple trees have an F-16 and they can use AIM-9Ms, or even some planes like the Harrier, which has them, it is kind of broken. Like, I understand that that's technology, and I'm all for just doing it, but at the same time, in terms of gameplay, for the people that do want to enjoy ARB nowadays, that hate it, I don't blame them for hating it. It is kind of stupid. So for the ARB homies out there, I got you. Like, I understand. Moving on from that, the other part of ARB is the EC element. I think part of the problem, War Thunder, again, as it's become more mainstream, it has more players, people not wanting to learn how the game works. All of the F4S bomb truckers, whatever vehicle they're in, what have you, and ARB ruins the ARB experience for the people that want to play ARB for the reason that they want to play it, which is it's essentially just a team deathmatch. That's all it is, and that's all it will ever be. Gaijin is not going to change that. For the people that don't want to deal with it in ARB, they go over to Sim, and what do they do in Sim? All they do is bomb truck, and then they do stupid shit in Sim, and they piss the Sim community off. But at the same time, Sim community, can you blame them? Because the game fucking sucks to grind. There's 1,000 vehicles in the game now. There's 400 more vehicles than there were, 2 years ago, 3 years ago? You can't blame them for doing what they're doing. I understand it ruins your game mode, but at the same time, you got to understand where they're coming from. In my opinion, the economy changes came way too late into this game's lifespan. They should have been a thing 3-4 years ago. Think about it. It's already almost 2024. In 2020, I believe, was when New Power dropped, if I remember correctly. The game has basically doubled its player count in the last 3 years, and they finally did the economy changes when it all blew up in their face. That's bullshit. It should have happened. They should have future-proofed. People have been warning them about future-proofing this game, because they do. They're just going to keep adding content. And Gaijin, there's thousands of vehicles, hundreds of premiums for them to make money on. There's no reason, there was no excuse for them to not have some sort of economy rework way earlier in the game's lifespan. I don't care if they're a private company and they got to make money. They're still going to be making money for years to come. That's just bullshit. Okay? It's a bullshit fucking reason. It's a bullshit excuse for them to not improve their product way sooner. Okay? But otherwise, again, getting back into it, I think part of the thing that would fix a lot of those problems is if they add in realistic battles Enduring Confrontation again, with the exact same Sim setup, the same rules and setup as Sim has, where it's all bracket based and the BRs rotate every 2-3 days, whatever it is. But it's just RB instead of Sim. So there's name tags, you have the RB flight model, and you have the EC maps where bombing points spawn, battles spawn on the ground like the ones you see here in heli battles that were spawning all around. And there's name tags, so it's just easier experience. Because the problem with Sim is people can literally fly right past each other and not know about it, which leads to the Zombers wanting to just be left alone. Versus RB, where they're actually gonna, first of all, it's gonna be easier for them to fly. It's gonna be more accessible because of the control scheme. You can still flank around the map in EC because the maps are large enough. Although they might need to be increased for the new modern vehicles. I don't really know. They probably do. That's part of playtesting. Wink, wink. Anyways. They can actually still flank around the map, but there's name tags. But they can be spotted by the enemy, but your allies can also spot the enemy too. So there's going to be more air combat that centers around little skirmishes that happen all around the map. Bomber players are going to be able to be countered because they're going to be spotted. And then at the same time, they also, because they can spot enemy fighters on them, if they actually are not a little bitch, they can actually try and defend themselves against an attacker, or fly with a squad and have somebody fly cover for them, as you would in a normal ARB match. But the problem is, normal ARB isn't meant to just fucking be a PvE mode or a PvPvE mode. It's really not, no matter how much Gaijin tries to force it into it. Everybody that plays ARB knows that the minimap showing all the little attack planes everywhere fucks with you a lot and causes you to die, because they also, by the way, if you didn't know this, they spot you. The attack AI aircraft spot you for the enemy team. So, well, funny. So, yeah, anyways. EC would fix a lot of issues. It would draw away a lot of the people that ruin ARB and Sim into their own mode, and for people that want to just have a more casual experience, like me, like I'm sick of playing standard ARB, I would like to try something new. It would attract those people into the game. And the game has so many players now that it doesn't need a queue time excuse. It doesn't need 16 players in a fucking match. It doesn't need any of that for ARB. So, yeah. Air Arcade's stupid. I don't know if you played Air Arcade recently. It's ridiculous. It's nuts. It's not fun. Anyways, moving on. Again, trying to keep this quick. It's probably not going to be as quick, but I think I'm getting my points across a little bit better now. The last thing I really want to talk about is player choice. And this kind of ties into the EC thing. Currently, the game really doesn't have that many modes to choose from. Assault mode doesn't earn you shit. It's not a real game mode. It's just a fucking novelty for a daily booster. Let's be honest, it's not a real game mode that you're going to use. Heli EC earns less now that in ground and air you can research your helicopters. You can pause your air or ground research and research helis instead. But either way, it's still more effective than this mode. This mode needs a massive overhaul. Either way. Let's see. The player choice thing. The game has Air Arcade, Air RB, and Air Sim. Ground Arcade, Ground RB, and Ground Sim. Ground Sim is basically dead, first of all, because of balance problems and the fact that you can just spawn literally anything. No, not enough people play Ground Sim for it to work like it should. Air Arcade is just bad. I don't know why anyone still plays Air Arcade. Air RB is the main game mode of air battles. Ground RB is the main game mode of ground battles. And this is kind of a truth bomb for the Air RB people out there. I understand that you want a not ground attacker event vehicle for whatever, for the battle pass or event or whatever. The reason why they've been constantly adding ground attack copy and paste is because Gaijin kind of self-admitted it a couple of years ago. It's hard to find, but they basically admitted that they were marketing the game. They were pushing to a more combined arms experience, hence why ground RB is literally the most played mode in the game. Or ground arcade, I think, technically, but either way. My point being, ground is still the focus. Combined arms combat is what Gaijin has been pushing for. We have, although it's not here right now, Naval EC is here a lot of the time as well. Naval as just a main game mode is also just completely stupid, but I'm not getting into Naval. But yeah, it's the reason why you have 7 vehicles in a row for events and battle passes that are all ground attack faced, is because they want to market the game to people, and they want to give people that don't want to play ARB anymore a free top tier ground attacker for their top tier premium that they can buy for $70 or whatever. So, yeah, the game needs more choices. ARB needs to be permanently in the event tab, the same way Air Sim is right now in Ground Sim with their rotating setups and all that stuff. Exact same rules as Air Sim, it's in the RB control mode. It would be like if you're just playing this, but you have the EC maps and game rules. Remove the EC maps from standard ARB, because everybody that plays it doesn't want to fucking deal with those maps. They don't like it at all. It separates, again, Gaijin is trying to they don't want player choice. They're trying to push 2 game modes into one. I understand that jet combat and BVR combat for a lot of people, I understand and I agree, it needs bigger maps and it needs more distance. But there's people that don't want that experience. They want a fast-paced, action-packed experience. Leave this game mode for that. Okay? Put RBEC back into the game right here for the people that don't want to experience that. Ground, I don't really know how to solve the issue. Quite frankly, I think maybe they should do what World of Tanks did, where they add a game mode where, say, you can still play standard ground battles like here, but World of Tanks had that one mode they were messing around with for a while where it was basically 3 big maps, or portions of a map, and then the teams played, like, there was a certain amount of people per section, and they had like a big game mode. And I've seen people in the past, like Riot R2, he's made like an Enduring Confrontation ground map. So like a large scale battles mode, similar to like what Battlefield has, for ground would work. World War mode is a complete failure. They tried doing that with World War mode, but it's all objective based and it's unbalanced. It's stupid. Basically, just take the big maps out of rotation here and put them into a large-scale conflict mode that's in the event tab. Remove this stupid bullshit. This doesn't need to be here anymore. Put our RBEC right here with its rotations. Maybe it takes you over to the event tab. Okay? And take a large-scale battles mode that includes like assault mode and all that stuff, reworked modes, reworked versions of old game modes, and bring them back and put them into this tab. Okay? Remove these two. World War is just completely gone, and you're completely dead. And leave it at that. Like it's simple. It takes a little bit of effort, Gaijin. Oh, I know, effort. But yeah, that's really just the reason why I don't like this game anymore. It's become this catered to this just low attention span, low effort group of people that I don't really vibe with anymore. And the ways to fix it, again, were what I just described. There needs to be more player choice in the game. There needs to be reworked large-scale game modes for people, not just shitty World War mode that comes around once in a blue moon. Because currently, it's like a father who's going out to get milk. We don't know if it's coming back or not, okay? So, yeah. Anyways. The game seriously needs a massive overhaul. Gaijin, you're the only one in the fucking market. You have the monopoly. You can take risks, okay? You can take risks. All right? Let's not kid ourselves. There's no excuse for how this game has turned out. The cargo port bullshit and the other maps where they just removed 30% of the map because people just don't turn their fucking turret or don't look is asinine. And with the big maps, just a little footnote I forgot to mention earlier. A lot of people just don't use the binoculars. They don't play more cautiously. They just drive around like they're playing on a small map, and they die and they say, fuck this big map. You got to use your eyes a little bit more. And look, I know shit's going on in the world right now, but you can't just drive blindly in a combat. That doesn't happen in real life unless you're Russia, I guess. But either way, it's not how you're supposed to use combat. It's not how real combat goes. And while War Thunder is just a video game at the end of the day, you do have to employ some kind of patience every once in a while, to be 100% honest. But yeah, that's just my opinion. I think the game's going down a really bad path. Even if it has more players than ever, whatever, it has more shinies than ever, it's not the same game that I started playing in 2014. It's not the same game that had tanks in 2016, whatever it was, 2017, 2016. So, yeah, it's not the same game. I understand all games have to grow, but right now the game is not heading in a good direction. It's just, I'm completely turned off from playing it, on top of all the bugs and just the overall just lack of enjoyment from this game. I'm sick of it. So, anyways, this video is probably still just as long as the last one, if not longer. But I think I got my thoughts across better than the other one, to be honest. So, anyways, I don't know if I will be back to making War Thunder content anytime soon. What would bring me back is RBEC and some kind of separation of how ground is right now, because it's such a clusterfuck. Or Heli's getting improved, maybe. But that's just for my own personal enjoyment. Yeah. Anyways, if I stream, it might be like Stalker Gamma or something. But anyways, I'm going to go back to doing my thing. And I will catch you guys all some point in the future, hopefully. Thanks for watching. Peace.